Chapter 15. Should we have asked her first? Emily asked Jared as they stood outside Amanda's door.
She would have just said no, Jared returned, and whether she knows it or not, she needs this.
Okay, but if she gets mad, I'm telling her it was your idea, Emily said with a smile.
Fair enough.
Jared knocked on the door, knowing Jade was inside because they had planned the encounter with her. Jade had told Emily about Amanda's friend Sandra and sneaked into Amanda's prayer journal to get the number for them. Then Jared had called Sandra, who immediately asked them to bring Amanda back to Mesquite. The door opened and Jade stepped back, allowing them entry. Amanda was in bed, dressed though, which meant perhaps she had at least attempted to go to class. That was a step in the right direction, but Jared knew they needed more help. "What are you doing here?" Amanda asked when Jared and Emily entered the room. "We're here for you," Emily said, "and you're coming with us." "I don't want to go anywhere," Amanda shot back. "I'm not giving you a choice," Jade said. "You've been living in your bed and the same 3 pairs of clothes all week. It's time to get out." Amanda shot daggers Jade's direction. "Why? So people can stare at me and whisper behind my back?" "Look, I get it," Jade said. "I've been there, and it stinks, but you can't keep hiding in this room. That doesn't make anything better. Now pack a bag and try to grab something you haven't been wearing for 48 hours straight." Amanda rolled her eyes, but she pushed herself up from her bed and lumbered over to her closet, where she began flicking her hangers aimlessly back and forth, as if she couldn't decide what to wear. Emily and Jared stood against the wall out of the way, unsure of what to say. "Oh, good grief." Jade sighed in frustration and stomped over to the closet. "Take this." She yanked a green shirt off a hanger. "And this." She held out a pair of jeans. Amanda took the clothes and began packing them in a small bag. Jade grabbed her toothbrush and hairbrush and brought them to her. "Why do I need all that?" Suspicion laced Amanda's voice.
"Because we'll be gone a few days," Jared spoke up.
Amanda raised her eyebrow, but grabbed the bag Jade had finished packing for her. "Gone a few days? What about church?" "You didn't go last week, but we'll go to church where we end up," Emily said. "Have fun," Jade said, practically pushing Amanda out the door and shutting it behind her.
"Shall we?" Jared asked. "Our chariot awaits."
Amanda didn't smile at his joke, but she followed them down the stairs and out to the parking lot.
"Can I help you?"
Jared asked as he opened the passenger and back doors. Amanda held her bag out and he placed it in the back of the Jeep with his and Emily's bags. Without a word, Amanda climbed in the back seat. Shrugging at Jared, Emily climbed in the front seat, and Jared took his place in the driver's side. A GPS sat on the dashboard, and he programmed in their destination. Just over 6 hours of driving time.
Well, this should be fun.
Jared started the car and pulled out of the parking lot. "Why are we here?" Amanda asked a few hours later as they passed the city limit sign of Mesquite. A slight tremor of fear laced her voice. "We're getting you help," Emily said from the front seat. A few minutes later, Jared pulled into the parking lot of Mesquite View Church. A few other cars dotted the empty parking lot. "Come on," Emily said, opening Amanda's door. Amanda shook her head, the fear paralyzing her. "I don't want to."
"Please, Amanda, we just want to help you," Jared said.
Jared's sincere eyes pleaded with Amanda. She didn't know what they had in store, but they had driven all this way. Swallowing her trepidation, Amanda unbuckled her belt and followed them into the church. Waiting just inside were Sandra, Callie, JD, and Little Hope, who was crawling around on the carpeted floor, oblivious to the tension in the room. Relief flooded Amanda when she realized her parents weren't here. She just couldn't tell them how stupid she had been yet. "Hi, Amanda," Callie said, stepping forward to hug her. As Callie's arms wrapped around her, all the emotion Amanda had locked away burst forth, and she sobbed. One after another, the sobs racked her body. Sandra rolled over and placed a hand on Amanda's arm and began praying aloud. Amanda vaguely felt the rest of the group circle around her, but she could do nothing except continue to sob into Callie's shoulder. When the tears finally subsided, Callie pulled back, confusion filling her bright green eyes. "I'm so sorry this happened to you, sweetheart, but it wasn't your fault." "It was, though," Amanda whispered, finally accepting the shame. "I should have known better. There were signs, but I was too stupid to see them." "We've all been there," Callie said. "Do you remember when I talked about my fiancé before I met JD?" Amanda nodded. Callie had shared her story with the church and inspired Amanda to be a bolder example at her high school. "Well, I'd been living with him for years and never noticed how selfish he was. Though my assistant at work knew it, I was blinded from seeing the real him by my affection and by Satan. He preys on our weakness, you know." Amanda's eyes dropped to stare down at her feet. "He was the first guy who showed interest in me that I liked back."
"But he wasn't the only one,"
Jared spoke up softly. Amanda looked up at Jared. She had forgotten about that coffee date request. It seemed so long ago now. But she had thought he liked her at one time, hadn't she? "You liked me as more than a friend?" "Girl, are you blind?" Emily said with a smile. "He has liked you since he first met you." Jared's face flamed, and he dropped his eyes.
"She's right. I have liked you from the first moment I met you. But I was too scared to tell you. Then you told me you were seeing someone, so I kept it to myself. But what happened is my fault."
His eyes brimmed with sadness when he raised them.
"I had a suspicion that Caleb was bad news, but I couldn't prove it. Still, I should have told you."
Emotions swirled through Amanda as she tried to understand. Jared liked her, but he hadn't warned her? What was she supposed to make of that? "Look, the only one to blame here is Caleb. You didn't know." Emily pointed at Jared. "Anything for sure. And you," she turned to Amanda, "were misled. He pretended to be a Christian and a good person, but he was the one who assaulted you. It was his choice, and he is the only one responsible for it." "She's right," Sandra said. "You can't control the actions of others, but you can choose how to react to them. If you disappear inside yourself, Caleb wins, and I know you are stronger than that."
"You'd better come home with us," JD said finally. "It sounds like we have a lot we need to talk about."